I have done I haven't done period Moscow. Well, I guess a little bit,
Um,
but it it sort of lives in its own time capsule.
It
That sort of
definitely does.
that well, the brutalism is one, but then that era of patterns and like almost like I always think of their plugs and everything like spaceships and like they were kind of advanced in their modernism and then they
Yeah.
stopped. Like then they completely stopped, it feels like,
Yeah.
from research I did. So did you enjoy researching this
Oh my
period?
gosh.
Yeah.
I absolutely did. My knowledge of the Cold War era and the Soviet Union definitely came from pop culture and, my high school history classes.
Hmm.
And so my direct understanding of what that period looked like and I lived through, I was born in the early 80s, and so I saw the fall of the
Yeah.
Soviet Union, and the world that I was living in was the US propaganda world around that culture and that society. And so there were certainly things that when I started, I kind of got the nod that it was greenlit about 3 months before my contract was finalized, and I went to Budapest to start working
Wow.
um, because of my relationship with Susanna Fogel and David Iserson. And I spent the intervening 3 months going to the art and architecture library at the New York Public Library and like
Mm.
just digging in on the history of architecture, starting like really early on, starting in like the 1400s in Russia and like the Tsarist era, and building my way into the 70s because I thought that it was super important to understand what were the forces that were creating the look that was
Right.
there. And because it's important for David and Susanna and myself to always look at a world with all of the layers underneath it. Like this in within the 70s, you're not just experiencing the things that were built in the 70s. You're experiencing the stuff that was built any time before the 70s that's still relevant. And what's still relevant and what's still built and what's still used depends on the culture. It depends on the economic level of the characters. So there's so much that I wanted to grasp before I showed up, and I was lucky enough to get the time to do that in a lot of
Yeah,
ways.
that is really
And
lucky because you could
it's,
deep dive into that for a very long time.
I mean,
I mean,
I
we
feel
all
like,
could in research, but any
yeah,
research time is always appreciated. It makes it better.
it
Prep
makes it
makes it
better.
better.
It
Yeah.
definitely does. Like understanding the sort of upward trajectory of the art and the design in the era that kind of like hit a point in the 20s and 30s where the art was like Malevich, like these are artists that are still considered contemporary masters, and the abstraction that was happening with the design and the architecture and the art that like hit a point where all of a sudden nationalism came in. And much like we're experiencing today in the US, like there's a regression and a looking backwards. So there was this huge looking forwards that was sitting there that had already been developed in Russian culture that was then like starting to be tapped back into once this society was moving away from like high communism, which was
Exactly.
really like the 30s through like the 60s at best, like
Yeah.
that era that was like very much moving away from that progress. People started visibly tapping back into it when things started to get a little bit looser, which like definitely happened around the 70s. And then there's all kinds of other forces that are happening too to create the aesthetics of the era.
What's
Um,
great too about this storyline is that you have all that backdrop, but then you have Americans.
yeah.
And you have, I mean, especially with their clothing and stuff, and trying to, some of them are trying to integrate a little bit, but some of them are just American.
Yes.
and trying to bring American things into their lives because they're kind of like they're stationed there or what, they've been brought
Yeah.
there. So I really liked that mix that you were able to do that in the dressing and the design.
That was one of the most fun aspects of it. I did talk to a few people who had, not obviously in the 70s, but had been stationed in Moscow
Oh, wow.
in working at the embassy. I have family who work in the military and are deployed, and I talked to some other people who had researched that process. And so we integrated different parts um, of like American culture into the different apartments.
Mm.
Like Twyla, oh, this is Ray and Cheryl's. And Ray and Cheryl's, like what was fun about them is they've been a lot of places, but they've also been in Russia the longest
Mm.
compared to the other main characters that we spend time in their apartments. So there's elements that are in this apartment that would have been either obtained directly from their Russian environment or would have been obtained through something like the Netherlands or Sweden or something, an
Travel to other
accessible
stations.
adjacent Western culture that had a design sensibility that they could have had access to. So they would have brought stuff with them. Like Twyla wouldn't have brought that much stuff with her. That's why she has some like standard issue furniture that's
Right.
from the like American embassy will like give you a certain kind of furniture. And so she has some of that. B has only American stuff, and Ray and Cheryl has like a broader mix of stuff. And they're a lot more, well, Cheryl's a lot more showy.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so she's got more bling.
I didn't, by the way, I didn't see that coming at all.
Oh
I didn't see
yeah,
that coming at all. So
that was
I
so
really liked
fun.
the show. By the way, I think I devoured it in like a day and a half. So I was
Amazing.
like,
Oh, I'm so glad.
oh, great. I don't want to watch this and I want to watch it. I'm gonna stay up for one more. So
That's so good. Oh,
it was
I'm
good.
so glad. I'm so
And you
glad.
got to pay attention because there's subtitles. So it's like you
Yeah,
can't really be scrolling while you're watching it either.
I
So
know. I
uh,
know. It's true. It was incredible to see everybody speaking Russian. And there was an amazing moment where I was prepping remotely, and then I got to Budapest, and I just been living in this like American world and Russian world, and then I got to Budapest, and I was like, "There's a third language that's happening around me. And it's Hungarian." I'm like, "Oh no, there's also Hungary that I'm contending with here." So it was like three different cultures that I was like liaising between as I was working, which was
so
a
let's
while.
not count the 3 months of research you gave them for free. How much
Yes.
prep did you have?
I think that I had it was maybe 10 to 12 weeks. Trying to remember. I got there late October and we started shooting at the end of January. And then we had our holiday hiatuses and
Right.
so forth.
That really
So
always screws everybody up.
it's a real wrench in the works no matter what. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't. Yeah, it's time that you live under this illusion as you start a project where you're like, oh yeah, it's just X many weeks away, and then you have to just keep reminding yourself to subtract two, and it's
And you
not
want to
fun.
enjoy yourself on your time off, which half of it is spent like either letting go or getting back into it. So
Yeah,
it's never
absolutely,
easy. And
absolutely.
your builds were the apartments and
Yeah.
the office, and then the like inclusion room, that like secret room.
Yeah, so we built all of the embassy apartments,
How
and that
many
was
did you build? Because I was afraid that you had to redress them.
we
Like
did.
my nightmare was, oh my God, they built one apartment and had to redress it 3 times.
That is accurate. We
Oh,
built two apartments. We built B and Twyla's on opposite sides of the hallway. So we didn't have to cut between them walking between each other's apartments. That was real. And then for Ray's apartment or Ray and Cheryl's apartment, we um, added an extension because their apartment is a two-bedroom for their
oh,
kid. Added an extension to B's apartment and redressed it. So we had to re-wallpaper. We added the mirror, took the mirror away, added the mirror, took the mirror away. Um, yeah, so the hallway to the bathroom, we just expanded that hallway
And then I went in.
and built another master bedroom out to the left there, and then added off that hallway was the little kid's apartment. And then Twyla's apartment was a mirror to that, um, and Dane's apartment was redressed into Twyla's apartment.
Oh,
And
right.
we
So you
were
have
only in
more.
Dane's just a little
Yeah.
bit. So yeah.
God,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I hope they didn't do that to them. Like you know what I mean? Like I'm like, I hope
Yeah.
they didn't do that. But how many did you have a lot of stage space? I mean, what were your stages like in Budapest? I mean,
We it's funny, we were actually at it's called Stern, the stages. They're about a half hour outside of Budapest,
mm,
and it's an old communist thread factory.
oh,
And the warehouses that were built for the thread factory have been repurposed into stages. So that was a really kind of wild experience to be
yeah.
in an environment that was a communist factory
Yeah.
because, much like I don't know how much everybody understands the way that the work culture was supported in communism, but it's like factory towns in earlier America. So any factory also
Yeah.
had
Everybody
a
lived there.
school,
Yeah.
also had a cinema. So all of that stuff was there at our offices, which was funny, or visibly accessible if
Oh,
it had been like
wow.
partitioned off. So yeah. But we didn't have a lot of stage space. We had to be extremely economical. All of our sets were, envisioned as more expansive sets that we then like became really nimble with our builds in order to fit them. We fit in one of the warehouses were these apartments. In another warehouse were all of the offices. So the main office for the US Embassy, as well as the CIA office with the bubble.
Yeah.
Um, and
Bubble's
then
great.
thank you
The bubble
so
is so
much.
fantastic. It was
Thank-
like, oh wait, have they time traveled? Where are they? It was great. It was like a total surprise because it's just a designed space. Like it doesn't look like anything else, which is so perfect because you're just taken out of it and you really believe they're in like a quiet room. It's great.
Oh, I'm so glad.
Uh,
It was a really interesting challenge. There were definitely some plans that I had originally that involved being like building everything up on a platform and having the bubble be sort of like in this like moat and more like having a moat around it, and
mhm.
we didn't have the ability to build a platform, up for the entire stage set. So it became about elevating the bubble and finding a visual language that gave the bubble and the surrounding room their own textures to differentiate them, and leaning into things like sound booths
Yeah.
that were
Is
for
this
recording booths.
baffle? What is this? Is
That's
this
that's the that's like the inspiration is baffle.
Yeah.
So it's an exaggerated sound
Yeah.
baffle that
That's
were often
great.
created out of wood
So pretty.
especially in the Eastern Bloc. And I mean, we only built the pyramidic sound baffles on the floor are made out of wood, and then in order to get the crew around them, we built these we had these pieces of plywood that we put protection on underneath, like carpet on underneath, so we'd lay those down, and they dispersed the weight enough that people could move around on them. But the weight of all of that, it wouldn't hang on the walls. We
Oh,
needed to
wow.
fly the walls as
Right.
well. So we had to build all of those out of foam, like a hard acoustical foam that we then like plastered and sceniced in order to match the floor. And I mean, they look incredible. The
Yeah.
scenic work that they did in order to make these like nicely sharp edges.
Yeah.
That was really like that was so important to me that it feels a little like knife-like, a little
Yes.
dangerous, but still really feel like it's wood.
And the integrated lighting that you have is so delicate and so like sinister. It's really good. It's
Thank
good.
you.
No, I love it. I love it. And
Yeah.
and also, sorry, I should say that they really pop in there. Like they look out of place in there, whereas the guys in the suits and everything. But I noticed that too, of like they don't look like they should be in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's like, but it's
Yeah,
such a
they
great
definitely
scene.
feel like they feel, especially in the first few
Yeah,
times they're in there,
yeah,
the color palette's very different for them, and that just the textures
yeah.
of what they're wearing. Like there's certainly some amazing and bold ties that the
Yeah.
guys are wearing, but
Big
the
time.
suits, there's a lot of brown, there's a lot of
Yeah.
warm tones in those suits, and so they really like match. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Let's talk about The Office and your color palette because it's so great. It's like
Oh, it's so good.
oranges and this like a darker minty, not quite mint,
Yeah.
right? Am I correct? Is that real?
Yeah, like the carpet is sort of this tealy tone, like greeny teal tone, and the walls are a little bit more like avocado-y, like a
Mhm.
lighter 70s avocado. Um, but there is like, yeah, it's like leaning a little bit brighter. Like I didn't want to go into the more yellowed tones that one, like there's certainly like both sides of that color spectrum were realistic to the 70s. That's there's bright bold yellow, and then there's like the mustard yellows. Like the colors were a lot more expansive than sometimes I think we realize when we look back on the 70s, where
Yeah.
the palette was pretty wide ranging. It was just always true that there was color, you
Yeah.
know, like
Yeah.
nobody's getting very neutral. So that was always really exciting to play with. But
Did
then bringing in the
yeah.
marble tones on the column, that was all inspired by Budapest and
Mm.
the marble that was available to us when we were in buildings that we were scouting for Russian spaces.
Mm.
We were seeing this stone that was a locally available stone in Budapest, but also in that general region. So it was accurate as well to the region. And we just sort of like, well, this is now like one, it's accurate, but also like we can lean into this idea as being something that is Soviet and defines Soviet space. And like this is an American office in a Soviet building. And so here's these Soviet columns that are like punching through and interrupting the way
Yeah.
the office would otherwise lay out.
Well, it's definitely not like Americanized in any sort of like red, white, and blue. I mean, you have a flag, but there's no even I felt to the artwork, except for that one piece in the guy's office, which we're focused on because it's a plot point, but
Yeah.
it's not like big. Like it's
Yeah.
minimal. It's very restrained in how the art is placed and everything. So it's I guess not to be boisterous that you're American while you're there. Is that would that be the
Yeah,
reason? Yeah.
I feel like it was definitely inspired by some photos that we got
Mm,
of the actual US Embassy from, I think the photos were actually from like 82, but they were, generally accurate. A lot of them had been hanging since the 70s, and that was
right.
very clear. Um, but you know, when you're in a space and you're existing around, like everybody who is really working there, that people were interacting with, the support staff was often Russian, like the cleaners and so forth. Those were often Russian, Soviets. But everyone else was American. And so, like, banging the horn or banging the drum, tooting horn of
Right.
being American, it wasn't needed. Everybody felt fairly secure about that. So, there are elements where like you do see a photograph on a wall and it's of a landscape, it's America. Of a monument, it's America. But they're all speaking English, and that is also America. Like they're on an island of America in Russia. And so them reminding each other about it, they don't have to be reminded when they're there because they're going to leave the office and be confronted with
Right.
not America. So
Did
yeah,
do you know did so I was looking up your decorator's name. I've it's Penny?
Pawnee Letter.
Ani Letter.
Yeah,
Who I think did an amazing job. I mean, even
incredible.
I mean, is it hard to source this period there or is it abundant? That's
If
what I'm
you're trying
wondering.
to source the Soviet side of it,
Yeah.
you have your pick of the litter
Okay.
for sure. That was an incredible experience. Being able to go to some flea markets with Pani and her team and just the things that they were able to easily acquire and bring in. There's still plenty of people who were just starting to purge, their grandparents had just passed away and they decorated their apartments in the 70s. So those kinds of furnishings were super available to us, but finding anything that was American, not easy. Like every desk and all of the cabinets that you see in this picture, my set decked apartments construction team built them all. So
Built the
they're,
desks?
yeah, those are
Oh.
all custom built desks.
Oh wow. I thought she got them and then maybe you powder coated that that's crazy.
No, we had to build them because we couldn't find them at quantity and we didn't have the time or the money to ship them from the States. And even finding them at quantity in the States,
Yeah.
it would have required taking them
A lot of
apart,
money and
painting
shipping.
them.
That's a lot.
Yes, a lot, a lot. Things like the phones and the typewriters. A lot of that stuff we did ship in from prop houses in London,
Hmm.
but the larger furnishing pieces, a lot of them we made. Yeah,
Did you know your crew before you got there?
I did not.
Did not.
I had a couple production design friends of mine. Um, Amy Williams had worked there on a feature film previously and worked with Pani and had told me what an incredible talent she was. So, right, like when things were starting to get greenlit 3 months out from us going, I reached out to her and I was like, hey, let's chat. I'm
Yeah.
coming. I don't know if you have another job, but if you don't, I would love to talk to you. And she was like considering another project, but we hit it off super well.
Oh, awesome.
Um, yeah, our visions of what design and decoration look like and the integration between the two were very much the same. Like this is my design. This is great. Like doing this floor plan was so much fun for
Yeah.
me. Like
Yeah.
finding the way to work with our exterior building that had this beautiful curve shape in it and finding where we could like create something dynamic with this existing exterior was really, really fun. But then having the layering of life inside it
Yeah.
was something that was Pani and I both felt the same way, where the idea of history, personal history, and just like the life layer, the texture, telling the story of each character through what they have on their desk
Yeah.
was super important for both
Yeah.
of us. So it worked
Yeah.
out really,
But
really
desk
well.
dress, I mean, I would say the 70s is prime desk dressed in character. Now it's really hard.
It is.
It's really hard because there's really hardly any paperwork or even pen cups at this point.
I
Nobody,
know.
it's weird. It's weird. And then you put stuff on there and you're like, this looks weird. This looks dated. So
It's
it's hard to do desks now.
it's really hard. It's so easy when you're in this, like the 70s was peak stuff
Yeah,
era.
I'm jealous of typewriters.
I
Jealous. It's
know.
big, clunky. Look how beautiful the color of them are. Yeah, phones. There's no
So
more. There's hardly any phones. I mean, even like now when we work, I don't even get like a desk phone anymore. They don't even.
they gave us the option to get a desk phone on the job I'm on now, and I was like, "Yeah, I love a phone." And um, they started installing them, and then not enough people wanted phones, so they're like, "It's actually not worth it. We're removing your phone."
Oh, see,
So yeah,
I miss
yeah.
phones. I miss that weight of a phone. I say it all the time. I miss
Like
phones.
also like I love the
Yeah.
80s and the early 90s for
Yeah.
that like little squirrel tail that they would
Yes,
put
that
on
would
the
help
phone.
you with your shoulder be all up like this. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Or the
good.
phone, look how it was restricted. You only had a cord. That's how far you could
Oh,
go.
but watching someone walk around on a long stretched phone cord, like the
Yeah.
blocking of an actor on a phone with a cord is so much fun. They're integrating it into their
Yeah.
movements. They got to go under it. They got to like, they're twisted up in it. It's just such a wonderful, um, tactile living experience in a
Yeah.
way that like everything's digital now. And so you
Yeah.
don't have to have a cord. You don't have to engage in the physics of a like tactile
Yeah.
reality in the
Yeah.
same way. Like,
Whenever I'm in prop houses and I pass a phone aisle, I do go and like pick one up just to like, there it is. There's the weight of, I don't know,
yeah,
there's something about the weight of it that's like, oh, this was important. Someone was calling you.
yeah,
I don't take calls at this point.
I
I'm like,
know.
you're calling me.
Same.
What do you want? Like,
Right. This is a number I don't know.
yeah,
Absolutely
whoa.
not going to
No.
answer.
Stranger danger. I'm not,
I,
no
I
way.
know.
So
I
yeah,
know.
I always appreciate desk dressings and it's fun. I mean, that's 70s, 80s. That's key. That's great.
It's it's a delight. It's an absolute delight. Yeah.
I by the way, I was sent pictures and everything. I had a lot. I took some screenshots, but I guess I'm not allowed to use them. But
Oh no. Oh no.
so if you're wondering why these are selective, these are what I was given, which is great because they're all fantastic. But when you got there, and how many scripts did you have?
We had the first three when I got there. I mean, the one stayed fairly intact, but there's definitely, things that were rescripted once we got into the reality of working in the locations that we had, the schedule we had, the stages we had,
Ooh.
so forth. But I had three coming in, and they, David and Susanna had been developing this project for at least 5 years.
Oh
So they
wow.
had a really good understanding of what the knock-on like storyline elements would be that were coming down the pike to us. So I was able to, a couple weeks into my prep, have a meeting with David and just go over an outline for each of the upcoming episodes
Oh, that's good.
and determine what we needed to build and what what the character arcs were.
Right.
Like I was really happy to not be surprised by Cheryl and
Yeah.
her turncoat nature,
Yeah.
because I did build in some elements into their apartment that were more Soviet, because
Oh,
she was more connected to the
yeah.
Soviets than I think
I
she
was all
wanted to
into that
admit.
nanny. I was like, and then I was looking up that actress because I have a very like, if there's an actress and there's like a bit part or actor and there's a bit part, I'm like, well, they're gonna come back. They're gonna be the killer, or they're gonna be
Yeah,
like, there's no reason that actor would take this role. It's
right,
like Glenn Close and like a spoiler, but like
right.
why would she take this role unless it's gonna turn interesting? So I feel like I'm always key into that, and I'm like, who is this actress? I've seen her before. Like I kept looking her up, and I'm like, I don't know her. I thought I knew her, but yeah, no, I thought the
Yeah.
nanny was great.
The nanny was excellent. I thought they did a fantastic job casting her.
Yeah,
Like
she's
her
cute.
cherubic face and
Yeah,
like sweet, innocent
wanted to go to that
nature.
concert.
Oh, yeah. Seriously.
Um, So when you have the outlines, you have some scripts, and then are you just location scouting like crazy on this
Yeah.
because you have so many locations? Oh my God.
Oh my gosh. It was a really wild
I mean,
experience. When I got there, I was so jet lagged. The location manager came to greet me and talk to me about our objectives the day that I got in. We went to dinner. I was completely delirious with jet lag while we were at dinner. I'm trying very
but
hard to have an engaged conversation, but I was a mess for like the first few days, of course.
yeah.
But we were in the car the next morning and he was like, "You want to look at that building? Let's look at this building. I'm going to take you to this building." And it was a really incredible and challenging process. I'd never been to Eastern Europe before. I knew way more about Moscow than I did about Budapest coming into
Right.
it. So I had no idea what to expect. I just knew what I'd done enough research that I was like, oh, that is something that comes from the Soviet side, or that is something that's like the Austro-Hungarian Empire. Like that's more Austrian. That
Mm.
is not something that we should see. We should lean over here. But I didn't, for the first few weeks, I didn't know where I was. I would get in a car, I'd be driven a place, I would get out, I'd get back in the car.
Yeah.
But then I was like seeing things like this incredible
Incredible art.
lobby
Yeah.
of a university building that's from the 70s that from the exterior you would never guess.
It's beautiful stained glass. It has this gorgeous language of like pin lights on the ceiling.
Yes.
It's really great. And then it reflects on their flooring and everything. It's a really beautiful space. It's a good location.
It's absolutely incredible. Um, if somebody is watching the show for a second time, I would say keep your eye on the ceilings. This show
Oh,
has
the
some
ceiling. Oh my God.
phenomenal
The break
70s
room. No, wait,
ceilings.
did you build the break room? Do I have the break
The
room?
the
Oh,
room.
I had the
Well,
break room. I wasn't allowed to show it.
oh no. There's a break room, and then there's also the like the entertainment room
Yeah.
that they have. That no, that was a location
Oh wow, what a great
with like
ceiling.
almost it looks almost like they're marshmallows on the ceiling,
Yes,
right?
it's fantastic. Oh,
It's in the basement of a
oh my
building
God.
that's been uninhabited for probably a decade, falling down,
It
truly
got
falling
it,
down.
but it now it's out in the light. It got seen. That's
Uh,
fantastic.
I felt that way about that space and the Hotel Budapest, which came became our hotel and tourist, that you had that slide with them at the bar.
Oh, this, yes.
That
Yeah.
one,
Another great,
when
great ceiling.
we scouted that in October and it was a functional hotel, we decided that we were going to end up using it. I think it was like January or February when we were like, no, this is definitely going to be our hotel and tourist. It was already decommissioned and they'd started early demo processing it.
Oh, no.
So they'd already stripped out all of the mechanics for like heating and
Timing.
cooling. And you can kind of see a little bit of it on one of the
Yeah.
soffits. The by stripping
Oh,
out the heating and cooling system, all of the pipes had been they were overflowing as they were draining all of
oh
the
no.
fluids from the heating and cooling systems. And so this entire ceiling on the left-hand side of this frame was gone when we walked in and started shooting. And we had to rebuild it because the water
Oh,
damage had caused it all to fall down.
oh my
And
God.
it was so
Uh,
it
Nothing
was
ever works out.
it was crazy. We literally had to go to um the owners of this building and say, you have to pause demo. You have to pause it for 2 months, and we're going to give you this money, and
Yeah.
then you're going to
And then
finish
they
demo
said,
when we're
more
back.
money, more money.
Yeah. So we I give so much credit to the production team for making those deals and the location manager for like getting us in there. But it was really hard because there was a lot of damage and everything had been removed from the building. Like all of these light fixtures had been there when we had scouted originally, and then we had to bring many of them back in
Wow.
because they'd been stripped.
I mean, it's a
So,
great space. It's like rounded bar and then a rounded wall of windows and a lot of marble. And then you have these little like half moon lights across the
hmm,
ceiling. It's
yes.
just really, really pretty and very period.
Very
Very,
period.
yeah,
Yeah.
great.
It was originally built, I think, in the late 50s, early 60s, the building.
Mm.
And we were able to bring in some elements that were actually directly derived from Hotel and Tourist, which that back lit glass mosaic, that was something that
Oh,
we created and installed and was based on a glass mosaic that was in the lobby of the Moscow Hotel and Tourist. And
oh,
that was an amazing experience. My graphics team, led by Jomi, Kabai, I think is how you pronounce her last name. She and her team were incredible and did a fantastic job of putting that together.
Oh
It
yeah.
was,
Because
yeah.
there's a lot. I remember in my own research, there's a lot of mu mosaics. There's a lot of in their
Yeah.
world. They were really into that. I mean, this one building that we
Yeah.
have here as a location, that you said it was a campus, right? As a
Yeah, it was a medical school campus.
beautiful.
Um, Soviet murals and like
Yeah. Mural.
Soviet real like socialist realism was so important to the progression of
Yeah.
communism and the Soviet Union at the time. We really did everything we could to exploit all of the existing murals and statues and architecture that was available to us there because it immediately keyed you into the era and to the feeling, if you know anything about it, of communism and like the history of communism and the way that they controlled the visual language of communism. So it was really fun to be able to use some of this stuff that was already there and then amplify it when we created our own elements.
Did you have any problems with clearance?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we did.
Because I
Absolutely,
know
we
we
did.
I didn't go, but they did For All Mankind, and I know that they had to like a wall like this redo the whole wall because they couldn't get clearance on this like space mural that they had, and so then they had to
Yeah.
create their own. So yeah, I mean I know that they had problems. I didn't know if it was also you, but yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sucks.
Yeah. It was pretty disappointing. There were times when we'd find a really spectacular mural or mosaic or piece of sculpture, and there's not a lot of sculptors that were alive at the time, but a lot of their kids are around, and a lot of them were not terribly thrilled with granting us clearance. So there's plenty of places where we were shooting like in the opening sequence of episode 1. We have a character who's standing in front of this gigantic Soviet sculpture of a
Right.
guy running with a flag. And we were able to get that one cleared, but it was in a sculpture park that had almost 100 Soviet sculptures that had been brought to that
Hmm.
space. And we were like, well, we don't want it to be a sculpture park, but we don't mind seeing some of these
Right.
and using them to like continue to identify place for our audience, but most of them wouldn't clear. So
Such a
we hid some of them practically, we hid others in VFX. But yeah, it was a disappointment for
That's
sure.
such a bummer. It really
Yeah.
prohibits our and realism, like
Yeah.
just the realism of everything, and then the cost to reproduce or hide or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, I did like the beauty salon. This was the only one I have, but what a fun little beauty salon in the 70s. That is a
Ah,
fun one.
it was something that Susanna and I had talked about before the show had greenlit, the idea of creating a beauty salon. And generally amplifying women's spaces in the 70s,
Mm,
especially Soviet 70s, because the stories that are often told about the 70s, about spies in the 70s, about the Soviets, are masculine stories.
right.
And they don't give us the lived experience of the women of the era. So we became obsessed with the idea of getting a beauty parlor in and had done a ton of research. This image shows just a little bit of the
Yeah.
reflection from the other side of this huge wall height mural that we did of these two women in these fabulous new haircuts that are gazing at each other. That are so, so fun. And getting the pictures on the wall. Again, working with Pawnee to get the furniture that was so period perfect, and getting these little details of like, oh, these posters, they would have ripped them out of magazines. It's
Yeah,
not
well,
like there
that's
was
what
a
I was gonna
place to
say
go.
too. Or you created these images because you can't use what you can't rip something out of a magazine, which sucks. But
Yeah,
the creases in them and like the torn corners and things like
yeah,
that of like they got inspiration from, yeah, like you're saying, like the magazine and just put it up on the wall, like very lived in look here. It's
yeah.
really great space. And then so your painters did the murals, or is
So
that
we
well,
had we had the a graphics team
graphic?
create the mural, and then we applied it to the wall. Yeah. So
Oh, it's great. I
it's
loved it. It is such a girly moment. And
it's
you
this
know,
was an amazing moment too because this shot doesn't show it, but there we put in a fantastic mosaic floor tile
wow.
that was super colorful. It's like this broken tile mosaic aesthetic that was very common in the Soviet in the 70s, and it used a lot of like oranges and pinks and purples and reds, and those were the colors of the space. And after we were like getting close to finalizing the design and making sure that we could achieve the colors that we wanted, that you also see in the stained glass divider that's in
Yeah.
the other reflection. I went to our costume designer, Anastasia, who I've worked with before on other projects with Susanna. And she was like, "Oh, that's great because I have this dress for the woman who's working at the beauty parlor, which you can see in this photo. And it almost directly matches the floor tile
Oh, it's
in a way that was so fantastic and just a great moment. Anastasia and I are constantly finding that we interpret scenes and characters in a way that like the palette and the patterns are almost matching every time.
oh,
So
that's
we have to
great.
be on top of it for each other. And
Yeah.
sometimes it works that they
Because
match.
sometimes
Like
it's
this was
yeah, it's great, but you want to complement each other. You don't want to
yeah.
blend together. You don't want to.
Yeah. So it's always something we have to be on top of. As soon as we were like, "Oh, I have this idea for this direction. Hey, are you thinking the same thing?"
Yeah.
And if so,
You're not thinking the same thing as me, are you?
yeah, who's gonna win?
Um, the apartments and houses also, and
Yeah.
getting everyone's character into these spaces. This one, I mean, I love because
Yeah.
wait, is this digital? Is this a real picture?
This
Or
is
what?
real.
Oh, okay.
This is
That
real.
arm, that lighting on the arm threw me.
Oh, yeah, it's a little warped because these spaces, this was Sasha's apartment and it's small. We expanded it a little bit from the practical dimensions that it would have been at the time, but they were small apartments. So
Oh
it's
yeah.
a fairly tight space.
One of the things I loved in doing research for them is how much they loved pattern and pattern on top of pattern, and it doesn't really have to match, but because we just got pattern in here, it almost like it was a luxury, and like it's told that like oh we have this now like this one a rug on the wall is very common to see in people's homes there
Yeah.
and everything, so it is so much fun to decorate this style, and if, I
Yeah.
don't know, I really liked it.
It was great. I mean, it was awesome to also do the research and understand why were they hanging rugs on the wall? Like, what does this come from? I became obsessed with it. A friend of mine who is a set decorator in New York, her name's Nadia Guerevich. She grew up in Moscow,
Mm.
and I wasn't able to bring her with me on the project, but I did talk to her a lot, and she was consulting for me at the very beginning. And we talked about the history of especially this kind of apartment.
Yeah.
And a lot of it had to do with the construction style of this apartment building. It's called a like it's a panel construction. They just cast concrete panels are just made in this regular shape and they're slid into place and they don't have a lot of insulation, sound or heat insulation. And so hanging the rugs on the wall, not only were rugs a status symbol because it was like hard to get a big rug, but
Yeah.
they also functionally reduced sound transmission and kept a place warmer. So it was an aesthetic that was born out of a few different places. And like this interest in pattern comes from the historic interest in pattern in folk patterns that were really prominent in the early Russian history, as well as like the Tsarist era when like the florid patterns were really, really just everywhere. And that history of pattern was something that I really was excited to play with. And there's so
Yeah.
much justification for bringing that in. It was just so, so much fun.
Did you make this wallpaper or did you
This
find
and most of the other
it?
wallpapers, they were
Oh,
a
go ahead.
customization of what we found. So like in yeah, there we go. In Ray and
Right.
Cheryl. So I found this pattern that was like a historic chain link looking pattern.
Mm,
But a lot of the wallpapers that I found that were real wallpapers that had been produced at the time, there was certainly not enough quantity. And a lot of the colors had either faded or been damaged at some time. So we had to print them ourselves regardless.
Mhm.
So it gave us an opportunity to custom color them or adjust the pattern to suit us. So that's what we did. We really like worked from historic
Right.
wallpaper patterns, but then we did what we needed to them in order to also make them work with our world. And so my graphics team with Jomi, she did a fantastic job of like giving me a bunch of options for color, and we really would work through, sometimes it was four, sometimes it was a
Yeah.
dozen
Yeah.
passes on the way that we wanted to play with the pattern. In Manya's house that we were at,
That. Yeah.
yeah, we put in the wallpapers for the living room and the dining area. Um, and both of those we custom colored. So they're patterns that exist, but we wildly altered the color palette. And we did a lot of passes to make sure that we were creating something that, especially in the living room, which we spent most of the scene work in, that it felt like a more American palette. So this sort of like tealy richness that's on the walls,
Yeah.
the wallpaper in here, that was something that was definitely very American versus Soviet. That kind of color palette wouldn't exist there. And then this sort of like beige tone, it's a beige and also like a mint tone that is underneath on the wallpaper that you see on the right there.
Mhm.
Um, that was again like it was a palette that you wouldn't see in the Soviet Union. So even though this was a house that was in Budapest that we had to wildly
Americanized.
rework,
Yeah.
um, that was not the original fireplace. I will tell you that right now. We
But
had to
that looks
bring in that.
American. Do you know what I mean? Like you have to, it's a balance. I think it's hard to me because you want her to look it's American,
Right.
but you don't, and she would have like the lace curtain or like something because you want to ode to where she came from and everything, but
Yeah.
you want to break away from what you've been seeing so that you know that you're in a different space, a different country and
Yeah.
everything. So
And
it's
she
a great
left the
balance.
Soviet Union under duress. So her connection to the
Great
history that,
storyline. Great
yeah,
storyline for her. Yeah.
great storyline. I love
Yeah.
her arc, and
Yeah.
what a phenomenal actress. I mean,
Yes, I
she's
love her.
so much fun
Wasn't
to watch.
she? What's the one she's in that Apple show? I forget. Silo. She's in
Oh yeah.
Silo. It's really
Yeah.
good. Yeah, no, really great. And the scenes between them are very sweet and um yeah, it's good.
Yeah. It's so
Um
good. It's so fun.
so when you are location scouting and everything, are the locations far from where your stages were?
Um, they depended. That it definitely varied. I think our longest sort of swing from stage to location was probably about an hour. Budapest is a pretty small city. If you come from a major American city, you can drive from one edge to the other in about a half hour in
Mhm.
Budapest, which for me was so quaint. I'm coming out of
Right,
New York where it can take two and a
right.
half hours just to cross Manhattan
When you're
sometimes.
sitting there. So
Um,
what were your shooting schedules? Are these 10-day episodes?
I think that they were closer to 15, but I have to be honest. We shot them in 2 episode
Oh,
blocks.
you block shot. So yeah,
Yeah, and I want to
basically.
say we were probably close to between 20 and 25 days a block, I think.
And did
I
you have any
I think
hiatuses?
We did enjoy a few Hungarian holidays,
There you go.
including the Easter holiday in Budapest. It was celebrated with a 4-day weekend,
Nice.
which was amazing. And it was the first time that I was able to go anywhere else. So I went to
Nice.
Istanbul for
Nice.
that holiday, which
Or
was
did you
lovely.
have a opening set on location the day you got back, which is usually how they plan it. So
I know, right? Well, we were lucky. I went with a couple other people from the project, one of whom was a writer on the show, and we took the last flight in, landed at something like 1 a.m. But on time. So we
Nice,
were able to
nice.
make it, yeah, to set the next day.
You do get to do some little sinister sets too, and
Yeah.
I'm assuming this is a basement location somewhere, but you've dressed it and made it into this like high tech, high
Yeah.
tech for 70s looking like spy area and surveillance area. So how
Yeah.
did she get all the quantity of all those screens and everything? That's
That
what I want
was a
to
very difficult experience.
know.
I started working on this. It's called the Kombromat facility in the slugs for the
Yeah.
script. Um, and it's where they process all of the footage that they have that they've been taking on their enemies so that they can use it against them. And it was this massive maze of tunnels that had been created in I want to say like
Oh,
late
wow.
1800s, early 1900s, that had been used for a myriad of purposes, including some areas that were used by the Nazis, which was a dark moment to wander through, but it
Well,
definitely gave us the sinister feel.
yeah.
Um, but they're these just big, white, empty, vast tunnels. Um, and we were able to find a lot of matching TVs. It took months
Yeah.
to amass the matching TVs. Benza Horn was my lead assistant set decorator on this set, and he helped to develop these custom desking, like squares, diamonds that we created,
Yeah.
and as well as all of the shelving and bringing in the TVs. It was a kind of TV that was fairly popular from the 70s, and they produced it in a range of colors. And so we were able to just get all of the TVs, and then we just painted them all a single color in order to get the quantity we need. But I think there was one amazing win where we were getting them in groups of like 3, 7, 10, and then he found one group available from an institution, and I think we got 42 in one fell
Oh,
swoop,
because there's
which was
about, I mean, I
amazing.
was just trying to count, like there's at least 60. I mean, if
Oh
every
yeah,
dress,
I think
if
we
every
had,
desk is dressed, like, some are deep, but like there's at
yeah,
least 60. It's crazy.
yeah. Yeah, I think it was we were aiming for 80, and I think we landed somewhere in the low 70s.
Oh,
But it
wow.
was an amazing get. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the quantity of period things is hard anywhere, but I don't know for me, I'm like, that must have been really hard. Like,
It
for
was hard. We
real.
were definitely nail biting
Yeah.
as we came down to the end. All of the matching boxes, these were these custom boxes that we had created with the props department for one of the earlier episodes
Oh,
that had this specific latching style that was based on a bullet case. And
wow.
when we realized, oh, we need to have 1,000 of these in
Yeah.
this storage area, we we had this custom printer. So all of these are just hollow cardboard boxes that were in groups of, I think it's like 6 or 8 on a shelf. But our scenic team came in and did a fantastic job creating the look that matched what we'd already developed with the
Yeah.
props team. So
It's really great. I mean, it's a great language on that sidewall there. And then
yeah,
you like these hubs that they're at, which there's like one, two, three,
yeah,
four, five, like 6 or 7 of them. That's all constructed by you, like making this like because it has a
yeah,
lighting piece above it and a desk, and it's really cool.
yeah.
It's cool
Yeah,
stuff.
thank you.
Yeah.
It was really fun. I mean, I was so excited to start developing this because I'm like drawing from any other sinister lair I've ever seen in film. And like particularly I was looking a lot at actually Batman
Yeah. Yeah.
and
I
and
hear you.
like some of the looks of the Batcave in different eras. That was really, really informative for this. And it was so fun. It'd been a kind of space that I hadn't done before. So it was
I
really
like that the
great.
DP got a wet down too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Wet down everywhere for sure.
Well, I so enjoyed the series. I I hope there's a season two, and I hope you get to be a part of it. But fantastic work, and just the
Thank
whole
you.
color palette and everything, and just believing of their environments and everything is really great. Really great.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you so
Sounds like a
much.
fun one. Sounds like you had fun.
Yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot, but it was
Yeah, this
also
is a
really
lot, but you
exciting.
block all that out, Sarah. You
Yeah.
blocked all that out. It
The
was fun.
rose-colored glasses have really come on lately.
Oh,
So,
in
yeah.
every job, but
I know. I know.
but also it's beautiful looking. I mean, your DP and everything, and like if they're color time, whatever, it's really
Yeah.
beautiful to look at and everything. And those two actresses really did a fantastic job, I thought. Also, the two leads. So
Yeah.
great
Yeah.
story, just fun.
Absolutely.
It's fun,
Just so much fun. So
and it's
much fun.
like it's not like there's a lot of cursing and nudity. There's a lot going on in there. I was surprised for Peacock. I was like, oh, look at you,
Oh
F-words
yeah.
and
Oh
boobs
yeah.
hanging out. Like,
Whenever that would happen when we were like reading a new episode or like talking about, yeah, like we're walking through the bathhouse and like, yeah,
yeah,
we're seeing naked people. We're prestige
naked,
TV guys. That's what you
yeah,
do. That's what you do.
naked
Yeah.
dudes,
Yeah.
even.
Naked
Yeah,
dudes.
yeah. But yes, bravo, fantastic.
Thank
So,
you.
yes, so great to meet you.
Yeah, likewise.
I hope
Likewise.
you.
This was such a fun conversation.
Oh, good. I'm glad. I'm so interested in how it all gets done. So thank you for explaining it all. And I don't mean
Absolutely.
to ask questions like I'm an idiot. I'm just making sure that everybody
No.
knows what we're talking about.
Totally, totally. And I love bringing more people into the fold and like enthusiasts of production design.
Yeah.
So
No, it's
I'm happy to explain the basics for
thank you.
sure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Fantastic.